how to install the Nacho Offroad Sprinter front bumper light kit. Just a quick disclaimer, please make sure to watch the entirety of this video before installing this product. If you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call or email us at sales@vanupoffroad.com. If you do get to a point where this installation might just be a little bit too much, feel free to check out one of our installation centers in Davis, California or Mesa, Arizona. Included in this kit are 4 Nacho Quattro lights. We have the bracket kit, mounting hardware, a few harnesses, and a light switch. The following is a list of tools you'll need to complete this installation. The first thing we're going to do here is disconnect the battery. Once the battery is disconnected, we can go ahead and pop the hood. Then we're going to remove the 3 T25 screws from the front end to remove the grille. After the 3 screws are removed from the top, you're going to want to unclip the tabs around the front end of the grille. We recommend using a trim removal tool to make this a bit easier so you don't snap any of the clips. Once the grille is off, go ahead and use your T40 to remove this plastic piece from your bumper. Once that plastic piece is removed, hang on to it because we're going to reuse it later. We're going to slide the tabs under the bumper cover, and then we're going to take the whole bracket and rotate it down to the point where your bolt holes are aligned between the bracket and the bumper. Once your bracket's in place, we'll go ahead and put that plastic piece back over the top, and we're going to tighten it down with the original T40s from this assembly. Next, we're going to take the clip nuts that are provided in the kit, and we're just going to snap them into place in this orientation. Now that our bracket's set up, we're going to preheat the oven and prepare our nachos. When I say prepare, I mean take your screws, put a lock washer and then a washer, and just start to thread them lightly into each nacho light. Now we're going to take the wire from the back of the Nacho Quattro, we're going to feed it through the bracket first, and then we're going to set our Nacho light onto the bracket, and you'll see exactly where the bolts need to line up so that it can rest there. And then we'll use our 11mm and we'll tighten everything down. Then we're going to place the second light onto the other side of the bracket. Now we're going to repeat this process on the other bracket. Now we're just going to double check both sides of these brackets and make sure that the lights are mounted properly. Just make sure that the Nacho logo is consistent and everything is facing upright. Now we're going to take 2 bolts, 2 washers, and 2 lock washers, and we're going to place the bracket with the lights onto the bumper and tighten them down with the 11mm. For this step, make sure that you have the right side on the right side of the bumper. Each bracket is labeled D and P, referencing driver or passenger side. Now, using a 5/32 bit, drill 2 holes into the plastic and use zip ties that'll hold down the light wiring. Now we can pull back the rubber shroud on the driver's side next to the radiator in preparation for running the wires behind it. Now that we're ready to run our wiring, we're going to grab the 4 piggyback connectors that are supplied with the kit. So we're going to start with the outside passenger side light, and we're going to run that wire to the inside passenger light, which is then going to run to the inside driver side light, and then we connect that to the outside driver side light. It sounds a bit confusing. Basically, a rule of thumb is if you can read the Nacho logo on the connections, you've done this properly. Using the zip ties that you put in place earlier, we're going to organize the wiring behind the lights, secure them, and make sure that they aren't touching the radiator. Using the supplied light harness, feed it through the rubber shroud and connect it to the last piggyback connector that would be on your driver outside light. For a factory style finish, we recommend zip tying this wire to the pre-existing wires that are already under the hood. Now we're going to cut the zip tie off the firewall access port, and we're going to feed our light harness right through. Now that we have some of the harness through the firewall access port, we're going to go ahead and remove the floor panels on here, and we can start with 2 T25 bolts on the driver's side floor and remove the panel closest to the door sill. Then we're going to go ahead and pull up the floor mat. Next, we'll remove the 2 T25 screws next to the gas pedal on the floor. Next, we're going to move on to the passenger side and remove the upper piece of the floor, and then we're going to remove the roadside kit as well. Now we have access to remove our T25 pictured here. Now we can go ahead and remove this trim piece from below the cup holder. Next, we're going to loosen the 4 T30 screws holding the battery terminal cover on it. We're going to slide this over and remove the cover, and then remove the red plastic cover from the battery terminals. Something that's not required but we recommend is to zip tie the relays on the provided light harness to ensure that they don't come apart. This will just keep them together and make for a cleaner finish. Now we're going to feed the wires above the pedals here, and we're going to zip tie them down to the factory wiring harness that can be found right above those pedals. Now that our wiring is secure above the pedals, we can go ahead and start stripping the wire ends. Now we're ready to connect our light switch harness to this wiring harness. Just make sure when you connect them that each wire connects to the same color. Make sure you tape up the connectors with some electrical tape. You'll notice that there wasn't a green wire from the actual switch harness. That is because this green wire is going to run to the passenger side, so you can go ahead and start shifting it over that way now. Once your green wire is out of the way and on the passenger side, you can go ahead and start tidying up your wiring harness underneath the dashboard, and we recommend using zip ties to achieve this. With everything exposed here, you'll notice that there's a ground wire that's running right next to the gas pedal. We're going to use a 10mm and remove the nut that's on there, and we're going to attach the black wire from our harness, which is going to act as a ground. Just put that eyelet right on the post and then bolt your 10mm back down, and your whole setup will be grounded. Next, we're going to connect the positive red wire from the wiring harness to the battery on a positive post using the 13mm. Quick tip, always make sure that there's a fuse in this fuse box here. Now we're going to remove the auxiliary switch housing And just remove one of these dead switches from the panel. Since our light switch is a 3-prong, we actually don't need to use this black connector, so we're going to use some electrical tape and just neatly tape it to the harness. Now we're going to feed the wiring harness behind the dash and through the switch panel hole and into the switch panel. Now we're going to take the switch housing from the kit and we're just going to snap it into place in the housing here. Now we're going to grab our actual switch piece and we're going to start to connect the wires. We're going to run the white wire on top, the red wire in the middle, and the blue wire on the bottom. Once your wires are connected, go ahead and snap the switch into place, and there you'll have a complete housing. Now that the green wire is on the passenger side, run that along the OEM loom, and then run it down towards the fuse panel. Leave yourself just enough room that you can actually reach the fuses. Now we're going to strip the wire back and use a blade connector to connect the end of the green wire. Now we're going to locate the daytime running light, that's the black and purple wire, and we're going to connect a Scotch lock to it, and then we're going to take the green wire and connect it to that Scotch lock. Once everything's connected, we can go ahead and reconnect our battery to test the lights before putting all the interior pieces back together. Now that you've tested the lights and everything works properly, you can go ahead and put your interior back together and enjoy those nachos. If you like the content you're seeing, please feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any questions at all while installing this kit, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. We're always happy to help.